It came out all right. All right, let me try this again. Shogun is rough, man. Okay, so like I was saying, I rush into things. So because this is how I identify, this is where my brain works, I have a tendency to rush into things and then I have to go back and redo them, or I jump in and then realize that I have not planned out what's happening there. And so for me, that's where I need to have my focus when I'm preparing presentations or speaking or things like that. I want to just jump in, but that isn't always the wisest course of action. So taking some time to figure out how your brain works helps you figure out how to prepare for things. So with that in mind, there's the right transition I wanted. With that in mind, we're going to take a look at your worst case scenario, which is why I have the markers and paper, because I like arts and crafts. Because sometimes it's easier to draw things. And I don't grade essays. So here, have some paper. Feel free to get some markers. And I want you to draw your worst case scenario. So when you think about getting up and talking in front of people, and you get a little spooked by the concept, what do you think is the worst thing that could happen? What's your worst case scenario? Draw me some mighty fine stick figure art. Or, better than stick figure art if you want. I have to say, so this one was last period. I'm not going to name names. Okay, I'm not going to name names, but she drew this very artistic person with a teeny tiny little fart. That's some people's worst case scenario. So there you go. Draw what your worst case scenario is when it comes to getting up and talking in front of an audience. I'll give you a couple of minutes as a head start, and then we'll talk about it. You have to draw a picture. Yeah. It's important to note that after all that last week, I edited it down to 40 minutes of an hour or something. Always take out unnecessary things when editing. Don't eat your mask. It's okay. My kid came home the other day and her mask was inside out. And I'm like, you've got that on backwards? And she's like, well, I got tomato on it at lunch. I was like, but you're not just supposed to flip it around inside out. That's counter to the whole thing. Kids. All right, in any case, here we are. So they did this survey of people and asked them what they're afraid of. And they came up with this whole list of the top 10 phobias. So, necrophobia, arachnophobia, myctophobia, acrophobia, sociophobia, aerophobia, agoraphobia, brontophobia, claustrophobia, and glossophobia. What are those, you ask? Well, let me tell you. So, necrophobia, fear of death and the end of life. That makes sense. We don't want to suffer. Arachnophobia, fear of spiders, because they're creepy. Myctophobia, fear of darkness. We don't like the dark so much, as it turns out. Acrophobia, fear of heights, but that's really more fear of falling, right? We're going to be honest about it. Sociophobia, fear of people or social situations. They don't like to go out around people very much.
People are scared of thunder and lightning?
Yes! You can get struck by lightning and catch on fire.
They're like a little chihuahua.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean. It's a legit fear, man. Tornadoes is a bigger fear, but they all kind of go together, In any case, aerophobia, fear of flying, but again, that's more fear of crashing. Agoraphobia, fear of open spaces. Those are the people who don't like to leave their own house. Brontophobia is thunder and lightning. Claustrophobia, nobody wants to be locked in a closet. And the number one fear is glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. People are more afraid. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, sorry. My allergies have me bad this year. All right. People are more afraid of giving the eulogy than being in the coffin. That ain't right, guys. So why? Why do we make you take a class in something that people fear more than death? Not just for my own amusement. Why? Why am I subjecting you to this right now? You don't become a weird antisocial. It's close enough. To help you overcome the fear. You can work to overcome the fear. It just takes practice. So, I am your speech class lifeguard. It's just like swim lessons. You gotta jump in the pool, start treading. But I will not let you drown. Because then I wouldn't be a very good lifeguard. So glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. So what is it that makes everybody so nervous? Like, it's people. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of what's going on. So here's the thing. Have you ever heard of fight or flight? All right. So, fight or flight is an automatic biological response to when you have been put in danger or perceived danger. Your body automatically responds and prepares to either fight your way out or run away. It's self-preservation. Your body has an automatic response to keep you alive. Which makes sense. So here's what happens. Your body reacts. So your body releases adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. That's that surge of energy that you get when you feel that you are put in a dangerous situation. That's when they talk about like parents who can lift cars off of babies. That's the adrenaline rush. Your respiratory rate increases. You start breathing faster because you need more oxygen for your muscles to run or fight. Your pupils dilate, so your vision increases. You're taking in more light. Your awareness intensifies, so that goes along with the pupils dilating because you're seeing more things, you're taking in more light. Your awareness of what's going on around you gets stronger. It's like spidey sense. Your impulses quicken, you're ready to react. And this one gives us all kinds of trouble, your blood is redirected from your digestive tract. Here's what that means. Your body spends a lot of energy making more energy. You eat food, your body digests it, turns it into more energy. When you are put in this fight or flight situation, blood is redirected away from that digestion process to your limbs so you can run or swing. The problem is it leaves all that whatever going on in your stomach. And that's why people get upset stomachs when they have to speak. True story. So, all of this, like I said, is an evolutionary biological process going all the way back to cavemen. The problem is, like he was fighting off saber-toothed tigers. I don't actually know if that's true. But it's a good picture, isn't it? You, as 21st century human beings, have the same biological process, but instead of saber-toothed tigers, I am asking you to stand in one place, smile, and talk nicely. No wonder people have all of these crazy things that happen to them when they have to get up and speak. Your body was not designed to do this, but I'm making you do it anyway. You're welcome. So, today we're going to do The worst case scenario survival handbook. Ah. I'd forgotten that I'd actually animated that. I like it a lot more that way. So, we're going to talk about some of the worst case scenarios, some of the things that happen to you when you have to get up and speak, and some of the things that we can do to prevent them, to overcome them, or to hide them. Because at a certain point, this stuff is just going to happen. You got to learn to hide it. All right. So, hey, there we go. You have to get up and talk in front of an audience. What happens to you? Like, what are those biological responses when you have to get up and talk in front of people?
Crying.
You what?
Crying.
Crying?
Getting nervous.
Okay, how does that being nervous show itself?
Sweating.
There we go. What else?
Jumbling on the words.
Okay. Tripping on words. What else?
Stuttering.
Does stutter have T's or D's? I always spell it wrong.
Two.
What else?
Shaking.
What else?
Mumbling.
What else? Come on, guys, there are lots more. We haven't even gotten into the gross ones yet.
Run away.
I got a whole term for that one. What else? Come on, there's so many more.
Projectile vomit.
Ah, there we go. Into the gross ones. Puke, pee, bubble guts.
What does that mean?
You got the wind.
Oh yeah, fart.
What else?
Runny nose.
I have never seen that as a direct side effect, but we can address it. Because in allergy season, that's fair game. What else?
You sneeze and then boogers come out.
I wish.
What else?
You start bleeding? Oh no.
I have never had any spontaneous bleeding.
Not like a nosebleed?
No. I've never had anyone have a spontaneous nosebleed in response to a speech. Whoops. I have had people.
Oh, dropping stuff.
All right, that's fair. Let's see. Turn red.
Trip when leaving.
Trip. Hyperventilate.
Pass out. Oh, yeah.
All right. Come on, you guys are giggling over one of them. Tell me what it is.
Say,
Your phone going off?
say, dude, fart.
Oh yeah, we got that. Bubble guts.
Oh.
That's what the bubble guts is. You got the wind in there.
Your phone going off?
Ooh. a good list. We'll start there. All right. Oh wait, let's see. Fidget. Sway. Okay. I'm going to try and group these together a little bit because a lot of them are similar problems with similar solutions or similar causes. So, did I get a color for that? I did not. What a different, oh. Ooh, green. Okay. So, let's start by grouping some things together. And the first thing is sweat. So, there are two kinds of sweat. There's like your regular, your hot workout sweat, and there's nervous sweat. Nervous sweat, it doesn't matter what your temperature is, you're just gonna sweat. It's a side effect of the adrenaline and the cortisol releasing in your system. And nervous sweat smells worse than regular sweat. Have you noticed that? True story. Now, do not underestimate the power of a good antiperspirant. That will always help you out. However, it's not going to stop nervous sweat. So if you are the kind of person who sweats when you're nervous, hide that mess. Because you can't stop it, so you might as well cover it up. Wear layers. Don't wear gray. Because let me tell you, when somebody's pitting out and they're wearing gray, boy, can you see it. You ever see the people and it's like all the way down the back? Ew.
Sweat mark.
So, if you know that's you, there's not much you can do to stop it. You just gotta hide it. Wear layers, wear a jacket, make sure you got an undershirt, whatever works for you. Hide the fact that you're sweating, because you can't stop it. Now, if you're a sweaty palm kind of person, some people get sweaty palms when they get nervous. Happens. A couple of things you can do about that. So one, soap and water, avoid lotions.
You said what?
Soap and water, avoid lotion. Like lotion is just going to make it so much worse.
Slime.
Also, like if you're going in for a job interview or something, well, okay, so this is like pre-COVID because now you don't have the handshake. But traditionally, with the handshake, you're going in for a job interview. You want to carry a little hand sanitizer with you, and then you put it on while you're sitting there waiting to meet a person. So then when you go to shake hands with them, even if your hands are still a little damp, they'll smell the hand sanitizer and be like, oh, this person is clean, not, oh, this person is nervous. Save that one for later. Never put your hands in your pockets. That will always make sweaty palms worse. Never take your sweaty palms and wipe them on your pants. It will leave a mark. If you're a face sweater, so some people when they get nervous, their face just starts to sweat. If this is you, hair back. Nobody wants sweaty bangs. Also, like get a handkerchief or something. Dab, don't wipe, and don't use a tissue because it'll leave little bits of stuff on your forehead. That's gross. Sweating is just one of those things that we deal with. It's that automatic biological response. So if you can't stop it, you just gotta hide it. All right, other ones that you can hide. Let's see. Oh, we'll come back to that. Oh, your phone going off. Okay, so your phone going off is your own darn fault. Silent is a good mode. And then, if that doesn't work, just play it off. You're like, oh, somebody called to give me an A. I don't know. Whatever works for you. All right. Turning red. Turning red is another one of those things that is a biological response. Like, it's just the blood rushing up to your face. Now, the important thing about turning red is that it is never as bad as it feels, because it always feels like you are cardinal red, cardinal red. It never looks as bad as all that. However, if you are of paler complexion, like myself, avoid wearing red. It just highlights it. Wear earth tones. lots of tans, khakis. It's going to help mellow it out. The other thing about turning red is that as you get into the speech and your breathing starts to regulate, it will recede. It will feel like you're bright red, but it won't look as bad. So just breathe. And there you go. I used to have a student on the speech team, and she was a state finalist, a national qualifier. She was good at what she did. She wasn't nervous every single time she went into a round, but that didn't stop her from breaking out in these weird red splotches on her neck. And in the end, what we had to do was we invested in scarves. Because, you know, if you can't stop it, you just got to hide it. And that's okay. We knew that that's what we had to do. We knew that that was just something that happened to her, and there was no way around it. And so we found a good way to cover it up. Because that's what you do sometimes. Next. Swaying. People get nervous when they start to sway. Or they cross their legs and like do the potty dance. Yeah. Like they stand up here this whole time giving a speech and they're like, they gotta go. So that's why we talked about last week with delivery. You want to put your feet about shoulder width apart, toes at the back wall, helps anchor you and keep you from swaying like that. But the other thing that you can do is you have the podium. Don't be afraid to use the podium. Palms on the podium. Do not death grip the podium. You will knock it over. That will be bad. Palms on the podium, and that's going to help anchor you and keep you from rocking and swaying. Do not bend yourself in half over the podium. One, it's hard to understand you when you do this, and two, it is not comfortable. Like, at all. So don't do it. All right. And fidgeting. Fidgeting goes with that one too. Sometimes people fidget. I am a fidgeter. I'll tell you that right now. And ever since we went to the policy of wearing IDs, I spend all day, every day, messing with this stupid thing. Like I've gone through, I don't know how many of these plastic holders, because I spend all day playing with the Ziploc on it, messing it around. I've got a pin on here. I used to have two, but I lost the other one because I messed with it so much that the back fell off. I am a fidgeter. And so I know that when I'm getting up to do like a formal presentation, I have to remove the things that I am inclined to fidget with. So that means, let's see, now I'm getting this on video. That means if I'm giving a formal presentation, I take it off, I put it down so that I won't mess with it while I'm giving the presentation. I put it back on when I'm done, policy. But, that's my official. If you know that you are inclined to fidget with things, remove the things that you fidget with. So if that's jewelry, if that's something you're wearing, I used to have a student and she would like pick at her cuticles, and so we would wrap her thumbs in tape to reduce that, because otherwise she just, the whole time that she was talking, would just mess with her fingers. Whatever it takes, pull your hair back, reduce the urge to fidget with things. So that's also, again, you can use the podium. Palms on the podium. Notes on the podium. And that's going to help keep you anchored and keep you centered and less fidgety. All right. Shaking. I will tell you right now, I shake. A lot. It's a side effect of drinking the better part of a pot of coffee a day. And also because the thing that happens to me, yeah, there are people in the world that have really steady hands. They become surgeons. Then there's me.
I don't understand.
And so I will tell you that when I am put in a position where I have that fight or flight, where I am like all amped up and ready to go, my tell that I am nervous about something, that I am all amped up and ready to go, is that my hands get super duper shaky. It's that adrenaline release, it's the caffeine, it's all of the above. And so the side effect is that if I were trying to hold notes, they go like this. Well, that's not helpful to anybody. It's distracting, and then it gives away that I'm all amped up and nervous. So, put your notes on the podium. That's what it's there for, to hold your notes. Palms on the podium, anchor yourself, and it will help keep you steady. The other thing that I have a tendency to do, and it's only gotten worse since I've been wearing the mask all the time, big gestures. Because when you have big gestures, people can't tell that your hands are shaking. Like small gestures, they can see the tremor. Big gestures, no big deal. Ah! Okay. So, up next. Whew. Tripping on words, stuttering, mumbling. Hi. Hi. He is not here.
Okay.
I'm now trying to remember if I marked him here or not. If I did, my bad.
Alright.
Oh, my bad. What? Sorry, guys. No. She wasn't even here all day. Silly. Okay. I don't know how I just did that. Hey, there it is. Okay. Got it. I think I've just hit 10,000 steps from the day just from gesturing a lot. And there are worse things. All right. Tripping on words, stuttering and mumbling, all of those kind of go together in just getting tongue-tied. There are a couple of things that you can do to reduce this. Number one, have good notes. Take the time to make good notes, because if you make good notes, then you are less likely to trip over things. So, if you cannot read your own handwriting, type it out. Use a bigger font, space between the words. Put into your notes when to breathe. I'll hyperventilate goes with that one too. It seems silly, but musicians have breath marks. Put into your notes when to breathe, and then you will remember to pause and breathe. I used to have a debater who tried to fit like 12 minutes worth of speech into 8 minutes, and as a result, he would just like start going down his script and do this horrible, horrible, painful gasping noise that I cannot even replicate without it hurting. And in the end, what I had to do is that we went back and we fixed all of his scripts and put in pause, no gasping, and then highlighted it. And then anytime he made that noise, I'd throw a marker at him. I got some markers. It worked. I won't throw markers at you guys, though. Unless you need me to throw markers at you to untrain bad habits. But we had to write into his notes when to breathe, otherwise he wouldn't do it. We also had to make him say fewer words. Which brings me to the other thing. If you keep getting tripped up on certain parts of your script, if you keep stumbling over certain words, rewrite it. It's your speech. So if you can't get some certain word combination out, like some words just don't go together right. And if you can't get those words out properly, then rewrite it. Piece of cake. You don't need to be committed to one certain word pattern because it's your speech. So if you keep tripping on something, just change the words. It really helps. And the same goes for stuttering. So there are two kinds of stuttering. There are people who have diagnosed stuttering disorders. And if that is you, please let me know, because the strategies for that are a little bit different. But if you're a nervous stutterer, if you have just a hard time getting certain words and sounds out when you get nervous, there are some things you can do. Again, high quality notes, lots of practice, write in when to breathe. Because you will continue to trip on your words until your breathing regulates, which is usually about 30 to 60 seconds in. So, make sure you're practicing to help get over those hurdles. Mumbling is just like you're not moving your mouth enough. Again, go through, get bigger masks, guys. That being your mask. You move your mouth more when you have a bigger mask and you're not so self-conscious about it. And frankly, I can move my mouth a whole lot right now and like it would look really weird normally, but you can't tell, so it's all good. All right. Tripping. Is tripping over your own feet? Or was tripping something, or tripping and dropping? So the dropping, dropping is a good one. Dropping is usually a side effect of the shaking. Like you're just fumbling. Use the podium. Hold your notes or hold whatever it is. Don't be afraid to set things down. That means you might have to make bigger notes, like blow that font up so you don't have to lean in to see it. But the podium is there to hold your notes. Use it. And tripping. If you trip over your own feet, don't move. Problem solved. Get to the podium and stay there. And then you won't trip. All right. I really only have 4 color choices, and that makes me sad. Let's talk about the gross ones. Okay, so runny nose and sneezing. Antihistamines are a wonderful thing. If I did not take several allergy medications per day, I would be a sneezy, runny-nosed mess. Also the neti pot, that's good stuff too. Put salt water up your nose. Flushes everything. It's gross, but it's awesome. But the nice thing about presentations is like you can put the box of Kleenex here in the podium in case you need it. Just, you know, like turn around so we don't have to see you blow your nose. That's kind of gross. All right. Speaking of gross, if you're a puker, some people are. Couple of things. So the puking is a side effect of the blood being redirected from your digestive tract. So you've got all that stomach acid just kind of swirling around in there, not being properly processed the way your body normally does. And that's what adds to those butterflies that then turn into puke. There is no puking in speech class. We don't do that in here. There is a trash can, there is a door, just get yourself out, okay? But, even though it seems counterintuitive, you do want to eat something beforehand. Because you don't want your stomach to be completely empty. Now, it is not like a good greasy pizza kind of day. But maybe a sandwich, something dry that's going to soak that up. So you want something in your stomach, but not too much. And also water, water, only water. Just keep that happy. But again, trash can, door, just go. If you're a peer, some people have nervous bladders. That's a thing. So, of course, reduce your liquid intake. Go before you have to get up and speak. But if you still have issues, they're doing wonderful things with adult diapers these days. I have seen the commercials on TV.
You want us to
They will deliver them to your house wrapped in brown paper so no one knows what they are.
You want us to wear diapers at school?
I'm not saying you have, I'm just saying, like, if this is a problem you suffer from, that is a reasonable solution to save face. Astronauts do it. Yeah, astronauts wear diapers to get up into space because they can't control. True story. Besides, you're standing behind the podium, like nobody's gonna notice. You know, you go to the bathroom afterwards, like, it's fine. Wear baggy clothes. I'm just solving problems out here, all right? Which also leads me to bubble guts. If you got the bubble guts, it happens. Again, like it's that side effect of the not digesting. You just got those air bubbles in there. They're gonna go one way or the other. Well, so the key is you just get louder to cover it up when it happens, and then by the time the smell hits the front row, they blame each other. True story. I've seen it before. Like sometimes every now and again, somebody's like, but they think somebody else did it, not you speaking. So see, it's fine. Nobody has to know. Just get loud. Real problems require real solutions. All right. Passing out. There are a number of reasons that can happen. Sometimes the hyperventilating and the not breathing lead to passing out. Sometimes it's just like a drop in blood sugar. Usually I realize it before you realize it if you're going to pass out. Like, if you're about to pass out, the person usually doesn't realize that that's what's about to happen to them. But they kind of start doing this weird blinking thing before it happens, and they get real pale or maybe green. Just a little green, not a lot green. So if you ever at any point I tell you you need to just go back to the wall and sit down, that means that I think you're about to pass out. So what you do not want to do if you are about to pass out is lean on that podium, because when you fall, you're going to take it with you, and that's going to hurt a lot. So just back up to the wall, slide to sitting. Because if you're about to pass out, you want to put yourself as close to the floor as possible so you don't hit your head. And it has happened occasionally, but usually there are extenuating circumstances. People have other conditions. They had a real weird blood sugar drop, whatever. But that's usually how that works. Don't lean on the podium if you think you're going to pass out. All right. Which brings me to my highlight. That's a terrible highlighter. There we go. There. Which brings me to my last three. So here's what happens. At some point in every speaker's career, they forget what they're talking about. It happens all the time. I lose my place all the time. It's what you do when you lose your place and you blank that makes the difference. And there are 3 common traps that people fall into that you really need to try and avoid. So the first one is that people get emotional. So they're going along, they're giving their speech, and they just blank. They forget what they were talking about. Something happened outside the door, they just have lost their place and have no recollection. And they start to get emotional. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, it's so stupid. And they start to cry. Believe it or not, it is not that hard to recover from crying. So first of all, you're going to feel it in your voice before anybody out there sees it. And you can correct it. Pause. Breathe. Go back to your notes. Find your place. Pick it back up. You can finish that speech. Fake a sneeze if you need to cover it up. It works. But you can recover from crying, and really most of the class will be none the wiser. Now the second thing that tends to happen is people don't get emotional, they get embarrassed. They're going along, they're giving their speech, then for whatever reason they completely forget everything, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, this is ridiculous, and then you're like, wait, and this is the bad idea, guys. If I start laughing, they're laughing with me, not at me. Don't do it! Because it's not real laughter, right? It's like that weird, manic, like head laugh that's just terrible. And people are really put out by it, and so then they're like kind of laughing awkwardly because you're laughing really awkwardly, and it's very hard to recover from. Don't get embarrassed and let the laughter take over. Pause, breathe, go back to your notes, pick it back up. You can save that speech. Now the third thing that tends to happen is people don't get emotional and they don't get embarrassed. They get angry. They're going along, they give the speech, whatever happens, they totally blank, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, this is stupid, I hate this class, I didn't want to do it in the first place, and they just get all worked up until finally they cuss out the class, throw the podium, and storm out of the room. Do not go out in the blaze of glory. Don't do it. Because here's the thing about the blaze of glory. One, I got to write you up because, you did cuss out my class and storm out of my room and throw my podium. Two, you're going to have to go down to student services where Lovejoy and Horvath will mock you. And three, you have to come back into this room and finish that speech. Do you know how hard it is to come back in this room and finish that speech after you leave like that? Awkward. Do not go out in the blaze of glory. I say these things because I have to. Again, pause, breathe, go back to your notes, pick it back up. You can finish that speech. All right. Ooh. Cool. Well, that's fun. All right. Anything I missed? Anything you feel I should include a little more on?
Has that ever happened before? Just someone has come down.
I say these things because I have to. Huh. I appear to have lost my slides. I hate when that happens. Let me see if I can get them back. Hey, there they are. All right. So, hey now. There we go. All right. Here are a few preventative measures, some things that you can do to prevent the worst case scenarios. Okay, really, you worked a second ago. I don't appreciate this. Well, where'd you go? Ha! All right. First things first. Practice, 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 practice. The more times those words come out of your mouth, the better off you're going to be. Speech becomes muscle memory. The more often you do it, the more natural it becomes. Don't overthink it. It is not the end of the world. It is one speech in one class in one semester of your life. Do you want to do well? Of course. If you don't do well, will that crush you? Don't let it. It's not that big a deal. The audience is not the enemy. And this is one of those things that as I do these worst case scenario drawings, tends to happen a lot. What a lot of people are concerned about is being judged. But the audience is not out to get you. The audience wants you to be successful. For two reasons, really. I mean, one, because I'm sure they're genuinely nice people and they want you to be successful. But beyond that, you are all in this class, you are all going to have to get up here at some point and speak. And so if someone has a hard time, if someone struggles, then you visualize yourself struggling as well. And you don't want to do that. So you want each other to be successful because you want to be successful. The other thing is, as much as people joke about it, like watching someone have a hard time is really awkward and really uncomfortable. And because we don't want to be uncomfortable watching someone else suffer, we want each other to be successful. So the audience is not the enemy. Be interested and be interesting. If you care about what you have to say and you have something interesting to say, you're going to focus more on the message and be less nervous about how you're delivering the message. Be organized. Have good notes. I cannot stress that enough. So, if you can't read your own handwriting, type it. If you have more than one page or more than one note card, number it. Highlight, use colors, whatever it's going to take to help you stay focused on where you are. Having good notes makes all the difference. And believe in what you say, because you're less nervous if you're telling the truth. And last but not least, be enthusiastic. Just like we talked about with smiling the other day. Sometimes that smile seeps in your brain and you're like, maybe I am glad to be here. Enthusiasm covers up a lot of nervousness. Again, I have shaky hands. I have big gestures. The enthusiasm and the big gestures helps me hide my very shaky hands. So y'all never notice when I got a twitch. Like that. Now, have you ever heard that you should imagine the audience in their underwear?
No.
No! That's just weird. I don't know whose idea that was. Don't imagine the audience in their underwear. That's just weird. Also, you can see your own reflection in the window back there. So then are like you imagining yourself in your... Like, it just gets weird. Just don't. Alright. You can do it. It's not easy at first, but it gets easier as it goes. And you can do it. Questions, comments, concerns? Cool. I think that's the last one. Oh, yeah. So, what still makes you nervous? If you have anything that you're still concerned about, go ahead and put it on that worst case scenario drawing. I will collect those worst case scenario drawings because, well, I like to see your artwork. Don't worry, I won't display them unless you want me to. But I like to see what you came up with. But if you have concerns, let me know. I'm here.